Chapter 599. Upon following Zacchaeus, Harton's small fortress already had a few people who had emerged to greet them. Welcome. No sooner had Darmelia, Zacchaeus' fiancée and Devran's only sister, greeted them with a bright smile than the men and women in familiar cavalry uniforms burst into cheers. At last, the commander has arrived. Yither! Among the throng, Yither spotted young Jimmy, who was waving his hand excitedly. Yither raised his hand to wave back. Originally from the east, where his parents also lived, Jimmy had applied and had been impressively selected in this round of recruitment. Despite his young age, he was chosen due to his connection to the area and his unquestionable abilities. Although there were some who had their reservations, the reports thus far had shown no issues. Judging by his expression, it seemed he was doing very well. Strangely enough, he seems to have grown a bit taller since I last saw him. Yep, I have grown taller. Can you see that my pants are shorter? Indeed. Yither pointed to the hem of his trousers and lightly tousled Jimmy's hair before being swallowed up in the chatter of his troops. Even though they had been sending reports daily, they had so much to catch up on that it took quite some time before Yither could finally unload his luggage in his room. The room prepared for Kashir was originally used by the castle's lord, while Nathan Zuckerman and Yither were each given rooms next to it. Zacchaeus, who had surrendered his own room, seemed quite cheerful at the idea of using his wife's room on another floor. Apparently, he was happy for the chance to be closer to Darmelia, who had originally occupied the room. Mr. Cavalry Commander's assistant, is my brother doing well? We often exchange letters, but it's different when he's far away. I can't help but worry. After unpacking all his belongings, Yither was cautiously approached by Darmelia. Oh, it's Darmila, not Darmelia. Sorry about that. Considering her much improved complexion compared to the last time he saw her at the trial of the Opeto family, there seemed to be no doubt that she was doing well with Zacchaeus. Yes, Devran is doing well. Actually, he asked me to deliver a gift and a letter to you when I get to the east. Here it is. Yither handed over a small envelope that he had previously received from Devran. Inside it was a slender, elegant silver necklace, along with a letter, all packaged in a thin silk pouch. Taking it out, Darmila looked flustered and scratched her head. Oh, my brother, asking busy people to do such things. I'm sorry. I will tell him to send the gifts directly next time. No need to apologize. Devran has been a helpful colleague to me. Delivering this is the least I can do. Rather than apologies, I would like to convey more of your gratitude to him. His reply was so straightforward that it was devoid of any discernible emotion. However, this made Darmila feel more relieved. She smiled shyly and muttered softly, putting her heart into her words. Thank you, truly. Yither then asked how her father was doing and what life was like back in Hartan since their return. My father is doing well. He has gotten much better since he's been living in a warmer place. Ever since the news arrived that the cavalry did great service in the west, even the members of Zacchaeus' family and relatives have stopped opposing our relationship. People who behaved poorly towards us in the past have either apologized or act as if nothing happened. So, life is good now. In the castle, Darmila was recognized not merely as a fiancée but practically as Lady Zacchaeus by the castle staff and the local populace. She had taken up all the responsibilities that would traditionally fall upon the lord's wife. While she initially struggled with these unfamiliar duties, her innate intelligence and wit quickly saw her through, allowing her to adapt. Furthermore, now that Zacchaeus' brother, Zacchael, who had kidnapped her, had been fully subdued and punished, and her own brother Devran had received a surname which was given to all members of the cavalry, her social standing was no longer an issue. Darmila declared that she couldn't be happier at the moment. Free to be with Zacchaeus and surrounded by happiness. Her face bore no sign of deceit. I'm glad to hear that, Yither said. But if you ever face difficulties in the future, don't hesitate to reach out to either Devron or me. Just hearing you say that is comforting. Thank you. You will be responsible for an important part of the newly forming eastern branch of the cavalry. It's only natural to offer support. Despite his serious tone, Dermila somehow felt that Yudhir's words were partly intended to alleviate tension, almost like a light-hearted jest. Well, it's because if there is no need to contact him for serious matters, she thought. Yudhir called out Kishir, appearing from an adjacent room as if he had just finished unpacking. Yudhir excused himself from Dermila and followed Kishir. The two immediately set about inspecting the construction site for the cavalry's eastern branch and reviewed the ongoing work. They even discreetly observed the first round of tests taking place for new recruits. Most of the candidates were unfamiliar to Yudhir, but a few displayed impressive abilities. Kishir watched the ongoing tests from a distance, glancing down at the paper in his hand. Thanks to his magic bracelet that altered his appearance, very few people knew who he was. So far, 284 people have passed the first round of the test. Quite a number, he commented. I don't think our standards are unreasonably high, but there have been more exceptional individuals than anticipated, Yudhir replied. Juan Levarro, who was officially leading the Eastern First Detachment, responded with great enthusiasm. A past roommate of Yudhir, Juan belonged to the Shin division. The second round of tests start tomorrow. Yes, that's correct. From now on, both my assistant and I will join the evaluation. Understood. We will prepare the area for you. Juan had the ability to move incredibly fast for brief moments. Those who saw him use his power during the recruitment test could not help but marvel at his skills. Look at that. How is he moving so quickly and yet still managing to do everything accurately? How is he controlling his power like that? Is he trying to scare us off with our display, showing us the level we have to reach to become a cavalry member? His remarkable performance supervising the recruitment test, instantly assisting his comrades, and then in the blink of an eye returning to Yudhir and Kishir was undoubtedly the result of rigorous training within the cavalry. After completing their rounds, Yudhir and Kishir returned to the Hartan castle. Zacchaeus, who was busy giving orders to the servants, rushed over, curious about their observations. How are the places you have visited? Everything is progressing in an orderly manner, Yudhir reported. The road construction centering around the village is also going smoothly. Just keep going as you are. And so it seemed that all was well in the realms of responsibility for each. It's all thanks to the Duke's help, Zacchaeus remarked. Help? He was aware that road work was ongoing in the village under Zacchaeus' supervision, but had Kishir ever had a role in that? Baffled by the new information, he blinked, just as Kishir timely spoke up. What I did hardly qualifies as help. I merely responded to a letter from a young knight who unexpectedly found himself a lord detailing his difficulties. That's not true. If it weren't for your assistance, Duke, we wouldn't have been able to make this much progress so quickly. You sent engineers from the capital to teach us the optimal road routes and construction methods utilizing Hartan's geography. You even coached us on how to deal with stubborn bureaucrats. Listening to the conversation, it became clear that Kishir had consistently corresponded with Zacchaeus since they first connected over the Apeto case, offering thoughtful responses to his concerns. Zacchaeus, who had always intended to live his life as a knight, found himself faced with daunting challenges after inheriting the title of Lord and siding with the imperial faction. These ranged from dealing with regional resistance to addressing the village's decline. It wasn't the administrative talent, of which he had none, that had gotten him this far. It was Kishir's guidance and his own strong desire to live happily with Dermila. So, he has been helping with Hartan's development all this while? Enhancing and protecting Hartan, now part of the imperial faction, was a long-term benefit. Yet, he hadn't expected Kishir to have been so diligently attentive to them. Either sighed deeply, feeling a strong beat in his chest, surprised by Kishir's unwavering commitment, even though he was already aware of Kishir's reputation for feeling like he lived each day as if it were three. No need to thank me as if it were a big deal, Kishir waved it off. I know you always say that, but since I have met you in person again, I really wanted to express my gratitude. Rest assured, I will take good care of you while you are in the East. Sakla said this with a smile. Although he still looked more like a knight than a lord, he seemed much more reliable than before. So, when have you been looking after the East? Yudhir asked. I wouldn't say looking after, I have just been responding. I haven't done anything particularly noteworthy. A wry smile crept onto Kishir's face at Yudhir's comment as they entered the Lord's conference room. Anyway, did anyone catch your eye during the first round of tests? Well, I didn't see anyone particularly noteworthy during my brief look, but the documents might reveal something. The reason Yudhir had come to the second round of recruitment was precisely this. Based on future knowledge, he intended to filter in or out individuals who would be either helpful or detrimental to the cavalry. No matter how careful the other units have screened, there will be spies deliberately planted somewhere. On the other hand, there will also be capable people who failed to join the cavalry and diverted elsewhere. Yudhir glanced at the piles of documents filling the room. Though significantly fewer than in the capital, the volume was still considerable. However, the thought of backing down didn't even cross his mind. As he picked up a stack of documents, Kishir too grabbed a pile and placed it in front of him. Looks like we are diving right into work again. I should tell Nathan to bring us something tasty. I have already bought some. Before he could say there was no need, the door opened, and Nathan Zuckerman appeared, carrying a tray. He had disappeared right after unloading the luggage, so Yudhir had wondered where he had gone. Clearly, the man had been busy on his own right. As expected, you are an excellent adjutant, Nathan. Your Grace seems happier when I bring you tea and pastries than when I wield a sword. That's only natural. A sword isn't of much use in everyday life. ... Yudhir cast a grateful glance at Nathan, then began to rapidly shuffle through the papers in front of him. After pulling an all-nighter, Yudhir finally managed to sort through dozens of promising applications. This feat was achieved after Nathan Zuckerman had delivered 16 trays of snacks and 23 cups of tea. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of freaking food and drinks. Are you done? Kishir, who had finished reviewing the papers before Yudhir, gently asked as their eyes met. Yudhir ran his fingers through the slightly disheveled hair and took a deep breath. Yes, those on the right are either long-standing members of the cavalry or individuals with notable abilities. Those on the left are people we should keep a close eye on. Even if they fail, we need to monitor their movements continuously. People can change dramatically depending on circumstances. However, some stay on the same path no matter how much their circumstances change. It wasn't easy to categorize people solely based on memories of their past and future actions. But Yudhir took some comfort in knowing that this time, Kishir's judgment would also be at play. Even if Yudhir made a wrong call, Kishir would be there to back him up. This allowed them to assess people without bias influenced by information. You have worked hard. How about catching some sleep before the second round of tests this afternoon? Kishir massaged the back of Yudhir's neck as he suggested this. Yudhir started to shake his head, but as Kishir's hands touched him, a wave of exhaustion swept over him, causing him to hesitantly nod. All right, but Commander, you should rest as well. Of course, I should. With a face that betrayed no fatigue, the man smiled. Adjoined to the meeting room was a spacious bedroom designed for those who needed to rest while working. Yudhir lay down next to Kishir, closed his eyes, and fell asleep before he could even exhale. However, when he awoke, it was to a chilling cold. What is this? For a moment after waking, he couldn't quite grasp the situation, his mind still foggy. After blinking a few times, he remembered why he was there and what he had been doing before he fell asleep. Instinctively, he turned his head to check the spot next to him. It was empty. Where is Kashir?